Today, I'm hijacking this podcast because I have something that I want to talk about. Now, recently, we've been talking a lot about what my passions are off camera, which has led me down a little rabbit hole for a question on today's podcast episode. Which is, why do we suppress our passions? Or why do we sacrifice our passions?
How are you, bro?
Life's good, homie. Life's good, homie. Been off work for 2 weeks. I forget what it's like working now. I walked into that place the other day to train, walked into the office and just completely forgot what it looked like and all who the people were, and they were just looking at me like, who are you? I was like, oh yeah, I work here, my bad. Just strolling about the place.
Switched off that quick.
Good. Yeah, man, I switch off real quick. But when you're off for 2 weeks, like the first couple of days, you're like, okay. Well, past that is, see you later, man. I'm just doing my thing. It's been a good week, homie. Played golf a couple of days. Got back out on the course. So it's always quite fun and always a bit unpredictable with me. Dropped the golf club on my head.
How?
I got excited that I hit a shot and threw it in the air and didn't account for the fact that I needed to throw it up and slightly back. So I just went straight up and just went... Thankfully, handle side, not the actual club, because that probably would have been the end of the round.
Please tell me he was recording.
Oh yeah, I already uploaded that to my TikTok. I went up straight away. It was like, so when literally I messaged my missus was just like, I am a proper degenerate, you know this, right? And she was like, yeah, but it's cute. And I was just like, this is what I just done. And she just laughed at me. It's like, I'm a degenerate. That's what I've learned this week. It's ridiculous, man.
Like,
played 2 rounds of golf. The first round was a bit more serious and like, okay, let's actually try it. The second round was just, God, you're simple, bro.
I'm still struggling to comprehend how you didn't get out of the way of the club.
I wasn't really aware of it, to be honest with you. Like, dude, like, literally, I'm standing, like, the ball was, like, up on, like, a bit of a hill. And I was, like, I had to hit it over a canyon. But, like, normally the ball was, like, at your feet, right? But this was more like baseball swing. Because the ball was that high up and I was that low. So I was like, there's no way I'm making contact with this. But I actually flushed it. So as I come down, I absolutely hit it. I was like, oh, that was decent. And then my moment of madness was like, yeah! Threw the club in the air and just went, oh.
I'm going to find that short.
It's definitely one of the best of the week, man. It was hilarious. Like, when you do something good, and you're like, I can't wait to finish this so I can actually just upload that and look at that again, because I know that was fun.
That's kind of the best part of recording.
100% is the best part of recording, man.
It's like, I actually got that on camera.
It was funny. I had a great round by myself, man. Like, scorecard weren't good, but content-wise was fantastic. There was so much stupidness. It was literally, after like 3 holes, I'm just like, I'm a degenerate. Like, that is me.
Yeah. Like, especially when you don't take it seriously and that, like, it is far more enjoyable. You can enjoy your stupid moments. And...
But that's what I've learned this week. I'm a degenerate. Like, and
you just learned that?
Proper, to crystallize that today, right? Drove up somewhere to go get some breakfast and that with a lady, right? Park up, pay for my parking, go back, come back to my car. There's a ticket on my windscreen. I'm like, what? Lose my mind. Vex. Oh, madness. I look at the parking app. It's like, I can't see my session. That's weird. Went to my emails, had the receipts. I was like, what are you doing? Like, losing my mind. Get back home and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, why am I getting a ticket when I paid for parking? Like, I have the email. I'm losing.
In the wrong place.
Nah, I'm losing my mind. Realized that the original app I checked was the incorrect app. So I then went to check the one that I definitely used. I paid for my parking. Why am I getting a ticket? Realized it was for my old car, not my current car. So not only am I going to have to pay £65 for the ticket, I had to pay £3.50 for the luxury of parking my old vehicle where I was. Because I haven't used the app in so long. I just see the make of my car and went, yeah, it's my car.
Can't you appeal it?
What are you going to appeal? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
They're going to laugh at you, bro. You paid for the wrong car, that's not my problem. Your vehicle's parked here.
Yeah, but still, I would at least try appeal.
I mean, I'm going to try because that's just the way I work, but I guarantee it will come back to me and they'll go, you screwed up.
Hear that, just be like, but I did pay for parking. This is a vehicle that's registered to me. I would at least try because you did pay for a parking session, although the registration was wrong.
It's just my old car.
Bro, I get so paranoid about that. Like,
So, bro, it's just the dumbest mistake you can make. Again, I just see that it said my car's make and was like, yeah, I've definitely updated this app. Haven't used it in like 6 months. Because I normally park there outside of hours when I'm going there, because it's normally after work or whatever. That's like, you absolute idiot. I don't go there on Saturdays. I normally work Saturday, don't I?
yeah, that's...
So that's the word of the week for me. It's absolute degenerate. Welcome to the pod. How's your week been, bro?
I mean,
hopefully a bit simpler.
it's me, so kind of know.
Oh god.
I don't know, like, kind of like you said, that, I mean, it's only been a week, but it feels like it's been so long but so quick as well. Like, little one's been ill, so she's been kind of in and out of school throughout the week, which has made things a little bit longer. Work long. I don't know. I guess the last 48 hours have been interesting. I ended up going straight from night shift to dentist, which was rather eventful, or lack thereof, which is nice. Found out that last time I went to dentist was 2019.
I ran away from that place because I used to fall asleep in the dentist chair. I was that calm with it, but now I can't stand it because I've had a bad experience. And I just know what that pain feels like. I can't be bothered with that. But also, I know anytime I go there, I'm losing money, so I just avoid it like the plague.
Yeah. Like,
anytime I book an appointment, I'm losing money.
Bro, part of it's that it's just like anytime you take a trip to the dentist, you know you're going to be dipping deep into your pocket. The second thing is just, I ain't found time. But I basically got a letter saying, like, you either show up or we're deleting you off our system. Like, 2019 to now is quite a while, do you know what I mean? So, but my teeth don't ever give me any problems. So if they don't give me no problems, I don't give them no problems. We get along just fine, do you know what I mean? But ended up having a lovely dentist, which was really, like, weird. Because, like you said, like, most people have, like, bad experiences in a dentist. I've had, well, for some people it'd be traumatic or whatever else, but I've ended up, like, nearly choking on my own blood. And coughing up over.
That's what scares the crap out of me, man. It's when you're laying back there and like you're fully conscious, but you can't swallow properly because they're doing all sorts to your mouth, and there's all sorts of stuff falling about in there, so you don't want to swallow it. Because like if I start choking, you got to drill on my tooth. It's gonna end bad for all of us.
As well, like
you're literally trusting someone with a suction hose to go, cool, I'm gonna get that for you, but then they just get. Come on, man.
Bear in mind,
put that hose in my mouth.
Excuse me.
I don't want to die today. That's not how I'm just dying, is choking on my own spit on a dentist chair.
Bro, bear in mind, like, the technology that we have, it would be nice if they done something about the, like, sounds that that equipment emits.
Right.
Because that in itself is intimidating. Like, does it have to sound like, like, does it have to sound like you've got industrial equipment going around in my mouth and everything else? When really it's just...
There's one specific drill they use that just feels awful. I think it's like the coarse one they use or something. There's one that's like a really high pitched one, but there's one that literally just feels like it is grinding your soul away. And like you feel the vibration, you're like, oh, I don't like this one. And that's the one that I always attach to pain. Because anytime that drill comes out is when something hits a nerve.
Oh.
And like, especially like for a man, on your mandible, but ours is a lot thicker. I've learned that the hard way. It's not pleasant. So I'm just like, look man, you get 2 attempts. If I still feel this pain, we're going to come back a different day and you're going to sedate me. Because I ain't doing this.
See, I'm not down to be sedated. Did I ever tell you the story about when I got that one removed?
The one where you got the face full of Novocaine because you were just like, give me something now.
It's still... Nah. This one was when I was like proper young. I must have been about 15 or whatever, but it cracked.
Oof.
And they had to remove it, but they give me the maximum dose they could give like an 86-year-old man or something, you know? And he's like, I literally cannot give you any more, but I could still feel my face.
Yeah, I've had that.
But I refuse to be put under because...
Oh, it's a fun experience.
No.
I've had it happen once, it's hilarious.
bro, I'm all down for a fun experience, but I'm not aware of what's going on.
Yeah, no, so I had an extraction years ago. Someone went with me. I remember getting there because the irony is I pass that place quite often now because it's over here out west.
Mm.
And all I remember is waking up at home, and the person that went with me was just like fuming at me. I was like, "What's wrong with you? Like, I've just come back into consciousness. What's up?" And apparently, after having that done, obviously you got an open wound. You have to be very careful. As the taxi went past the McDonald's, I got very angry at the fact that I was not allowed a Big Mac.
Sounds like you.
Which is definitely not me because my order is a double quarter pounder and cheese, so I would never be asking for a Big Mac, so I was definitely off my nut. But yeah, apparently the whole cab ride, I was just like, what Big Mac? They're like, you can't have one, you just had surgery in your mouth. I don't care, I want a Big Mac. The whole journey.
Yeah. See, when I had this one removed,
Oh, burgers are available.
when I had this one removed, obviously because it was originally cracked in half, when they was taking it out, it continued to crack and completely cracked in half, so they had to take it out in 2 pieces, so I didn't get to keep it. But there was so much blood, it literally filled the back of my throat, and I tried to like gasp for air, and I coughed up blood all over his nurse, and
Nice.
like just it looked like a horror show.
That's why they should be using that suction thing better, bro. That's my point. Like, that's the one position where you can't be caught napping. Like, you need to be looking. Like, the minute that gets to a certain level, I can no longer breathe. So if I can't breathe, I can't tell you there's a problem. But there's a big, big clue about what might be going on here. Ooh, that's a lot of blood in there, isn't it? You alright, mate?
Just got the Red Sea in my mouth.
Treat you like gangrel in the 90s, man.
But I'm assuming that's a wrestling man.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
All you people that know the Brood, shout out.
But that's the thing. Like, so back to the other day. So she's cleaning my teeth and everything else while we're waiting for the X-rays and that. And bro, it ends up like tickling my mouth, and I'm there giggling while she's really doing my teeth. Like, and it just, yeah, it was just weird having like. Now, obviously, you've got that feeling of like when your teeth just get cleaned, your tongue catches it, and every time it's just like.
It's when you do get the numbing stuff, and even if it don't work on your teeth, it works on your lip. So you walk around afterwards for about an hour, like, am I having a stroke? It's just like looking in the mirror, it's like, it's like, oh no wait, oh, it still feels weird. Like,
See, that's
madness.
See, that's the thing. Like, obviously, I'm getting my teeth cleaned and everything else, right? Trying not to laugh because for some reason, like, the top of my mouth is incredibly ticklish. And then, like, I just get the weird thought because of the book that I'm into at the minute, or whatever else is talking about, like the origins of like evolution and how important the mouth is. I was just like, what got you into being a dentist? Like,
Wasn't smart enough to be a proper doctor.
no, like she was basically saying that a lot of health problems can be diagnosed through the mouth, and that's what was obviously so interesting in that. But obviously, I couldn't do much talking because freaking tools in my mouth. Giggly.
First time for everything, my man.
Most action I've seen in a long time. But yeah, it literally just felt like freaking. Like it literally just felt like proper chill, freaking calm. Like, and then come back with the X-rays, no work needed.
Nice.
Bro, the relief.
Oh, I trust.
Was literally because again, bro, I ain't been there in years because my teeth don't cause me any problems. But that don't normally mean. They don't always mean there's problem. Obviously, we always assume that there's a problem. So until that, I was just like, okay, cool, distract myself. Like, what got you into this? Da 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 da. Coming off a night shift, I'm tired. I just want to go home. Do you know what I mean? But coming off the back of it, like, friggin', my teeth feel fresh, no work needed, friggin', feel friggin' great or whatever else. Come home after that and slept for like basically till midnight.
Yeah, that cracked me up. I was like, where's this guy at? Like 2 minutes to midnight. Well, I've got 2 minutes left of my Friday. It's like, you just woke up.
So, yeah, and then train today. Literally friggin' got a trim. So, again, like, I'm just pondering just randomness in my head these days, whatever. So I thought I'm gonna ask my barber just on a whim if there's any other hairstyles that he thinks would suit. And his response was basically, "You got very little to work with, so stick with what you got."
I was looking. I'm like, it ain't changed nothing. My head immediately went to. I mean,
like,
there ain't a lot to work with. Like,
not necessarily even like right now or whatever else, but remember like years back, I grew out the top or whatever else. But like he was literally just like, "Yeah, just appreciate what you got, bro."
my man should have just gone, yeah, bald.
Like,
number one all over.
Again, I'm cool with. I'm not like unhappy with my hairstyle or whatever else, but I've not really changed it much throughout my life, and that's always just like, if I'm gonna lose it eventually, might as well see if there's anything more I can do with it in the meantime or whatever else.
That's the worst thing. I thought about this the other day. If I do eventually get a hair transplant, I get all that hair back, but I still have the same hairstyle because I wouldn't want to deviate. Like I just want, a better hair.
To go.
I just want a better hair and a better hair. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then I'm gonna go with the same hairstyle, but with a better hairline, and let's see how it works. Like imagine you put all that money and get like complete new hair, so you don't have to worry about your hairline ever again. You go into your barber and go, yeah, just a regular, and then after you does it, you go, oh, that's butters. Oh, that's butters. I don't like it with the hairline. I need something different. Like imagine how stressed I would be.
You got
now I've got to regrow this that I've just spent a lot of money on to come into you and go, we can't have the ordinary anymore. What can I do, boss man? Like that would be stress. Just go to Turkey back. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind this bit. It's just this bit here, actually. Yeah, just this bit. I don't want the cap, but I don't mind. I don't mind the arches because it suits everything. I maybe bring them down to about here instead. You know what I mean? Like, can you make my hairline look like it's starting to go, but I know that it's never going to go worse than that. Like, I don't want the fall here. You come back and your hairline's here now.
Yeah, they go over the top.
Over the top. You have an inch between your eyebrow and your hairline.
No.
That would be stress.
Oh man, yeah, I couldn't.
No one ever says about that, right? They could do too good a job. It becomes a problem. Imagine that. And the back of your head comes down to your traps now.
The back wouldn't be as bad as the front.
Oh, no, there's still got to be clearance around your collar, man.
Yeah, I hear that, but you could obviously regularly get that shaped up or whatever else. Yeah. But like, if you've got a stubbly forehead, like all here and that, like no, like although I don't, I get. See, I do still have hair on top. It's just thin. My hair's always been really thin, so it's just thinning out more now, I guess. But because it's so fine, when it gets long, it tickles my forehead. So I have to get my hair cut to stop that.
But I think the most depressing thing about the barbers now is, when they pop your hair down here to do like your fringe. Bro, when I see that, I'm just like, there's not even any point now, boss.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 strands.
You doing that is upsetting. Like, if anything, like, you don't need to worry about it because no one's ever going to notice that my fringe hasn't been cut in properly. Like, I think we're good. I remember when, like, bro, a few years ago, it'd be all out here and that stuff. And like, I remember points where it came down to here because I let it grow so much. And I was like, now I'm like, ooh, that feels like long ago. That feels like long ago.
Now you say that, I remember seeing...
There's a point where I had like issue with like that. I was like, bro, my hair's long. Never like proper long, but like long for our standard.
Yeah.
Because like, I remember the sides that were getting like proper curly. That's what annoyed me enough to go and get it trimmed in the end. I was like, I can't be bothered with this.
Damn.
Now you got about 4 strands. Absolutely abusive.
Unfortunately, that is life. I'm getting curious as to what I look like bald though. But I still don't want to find out. I'm still happy with my hair. But I'm curious.
I'm clinging to all hope.
It's one of those ones where it's just like, I just want to know what I'm going to be in for.
What I know is it's like, that's one of those all or nothing ones. Like, I'm not walking around with, the sides. That's not happening. We're going all in. Like, we're going all in.
This is going to not go on another tangent, but I see something the other day that was saying, like, how quickly hats went out of fashion. And kind of, like, wondering why. Like, if you see pictures of, like, the... Probably...
What kind of hats? So you talking like baseball hats, or you talking like top hats?
No, like, top hats. Like, think about
I look like a bad man villain in a top hat,
Little monocle.
I look like the penguin, bro.
Nah, you're not short and stubby.
I look like the man from the Pringles can. Have a crisp available.
There's
Or not, if you want to sponsor us. Then no other crisp will ever exist again.
Literally.
We could make a whole lot of jokes about Pringles that would be good for your brand.
Definitely.
Or other crisps. Shout out.
Or detrimental.
Hey, Monster, if you're listening, we drink enough to like, let's, come on now, sponsor your business. We deserve it at this point, you understand? We're getting ourselves diabetes for you. I'll cut that out, it's fine. That's not positive, I get it. But still, holler your boy. Could do a lot with your stuff on a golf course, you know? Missing out. Start on the ground floor, lads. Come on, man. Sort it out.
On that note,
You're listening, Coca-Cola. I know you own them.
On that note, should we run the intro and get into the episode?
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's go do it.
I swear I'll be exclusive to Pepsi if you don't listen to me. Nah, I could never do that to myself, I'm not gonna lie.
Now, when they reduce the sugar, they really mess
That's
us
my
up.
life now. We can only drink Pepsi products, yeah. So Pepsi Max and Gatorade.
What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Big Dave. And today I'm hijacking this podcast because I have something that I want to talk about. Now, recently we've been talking a lot about what my passions are off camera, which has led me down a little rabbit hole for a question on today's podcast episode. Which is, why do we suppress our passions? Or why do we sacrifice our passions?
I don't know if it's a case of we suppress them. I think there's a lot more that we find in life that we deem to be immediate. For example, like bills, life chores, adulting, or whatever else, that you forget to make time for yourself. It's always that part that has to be sacrificed. So, like, even when I think about this for myself, right, I was thinking, like, I would love to take a car on a track and do some laps, and seriously, like, you give me anything with an engine and I might have some fun. There's going to be a smile on my face and I'm going to be absolutely in heaven. But I never have time for that because I've got other parts of life to deal with and everything else. Or I even looked at where the darkest place in the UK is to go like stargazing one night and actually like see the cosmos, to comprehend how minuscule we are.
Oh, that's amazing.
Over a 5-hour drive. Bro, that means Northumberland is the darkest place in the UK with
probably for many reasons, to be fair. It's probably bleak up there.
It's got the least light pollution. Nobody wants to live there.
Wonder why.
But yeah, but that whole thing, I'd have to take a day out of my life to do that experience and everything else. And if you are somebody that, like most people, has a job, has a family, has commitments, this, that, and everything else, doing that is a rarity at best. And when it's so rare, you forget about it. Like, what's gonna, if you have something where you're like, cool, we're gonna go to a concert once a year, or we're gonna have a nice holiday once a year because we like to travel or whatever else, but then your car breaks down, or this happens, or that happens. It's always the thing that gets pushed back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you kind of, at least to me anyways, like, do you know what? Let's bring it a whole lot closer to home than that, yeah? Even when I become a dad, a whole bunch of my passions and a whole kind of part of myself got shelved. Simply because you've got to focus on somebody else. Same for like when you're in a job. Like, how many people literally devote themselves to a career and climbing the ladder, and that is their focus. That becomes their passion.
Thing is, though, that answers like the sacrifice portion, right? Which is, I had a feeling that was where we were going to go immediately because my head thought about that. But the suppressed part interests me. And I'm a prime example of this, right? Because I really struggle to think, what am I actually passionate about?
Okay.
And that's because most of my time is dealt on the immediate.
Is it tap dancing?
No, it's not tap dancing, no. If it were going to be dancing, it'd be salsa dancing because you've got hips, let's be honest. But like, I genuinely think that we suppress our passions to a point that we don't actually recognize what they are because we're so concerned on the immediate. that we don't actually allow ourselves to get to a point of thinking about the things that we actually really like. Think of your ideal week, right? Like we touched on how we've done a little catch up at the beginning of this and stuff, right? But a week is busy, especially if you're working, right? And like for me, I work 40 to 60 hours a week. It can vary, right? So at those points, I'm being paid not to think about my passions. That's just how business works. I'm being paid to do my job, right? I get that. I understand that. Then outside of that, I've got other places I'm spinning. I'm trying to do power progression. So again, that is a passion, to be fair. I really like doing that. But you don't consider it a passion when you're doing it because you're just busy doing it, right? So I don't really acknowledge that that's a passion to a degree because I'm trying to grow it into something. Then I've got a relationship going on, which I am obviously quite passionate about, so that's fair enough. My brain acknowledges that. But then outside of that, it's like, wait a minute, what are you passionate about? And I had a little thinking, like, I love sports, I'm very passionate about sports. Like, I'm quite passionate about talking, like about current affairs, politics, all those kind of things that are like very open-minded. So then my brain went deeper into this, was like, well, why don't I feel passionate about that all the time? The sports is quite an easy one to answer because I can't be passionate about it on a playing level because I don't play sport. I weightlift, but I don't do it from a sporting point. I do that as a personal interest point, right? I guess I am passionate about that, but my brain says not enough because I don't train enough for me to justify that's a passion. I do it because I feel like I need to do it, if that makes sense. I enjoy it, but I know without it, I'm just like, everything goes a bit of a mess. So I'm passionate about talking and watching sports. But for that to happen, it has to be with someone else who's passionate about it, right? We're a prime example. You're not really a sporting person at all. So I'd be very passionate about it, but you'd be like, what are you talking about? I will try, which is fair. But it don't hit the same. And I feel like that's the same about other things as well, like the deeper things. Like, we had a whole conversation off camera about the universe and stuff like that, right? Same with like politics and stuff. You have to be with the right people. Otherwise it don't work. Because then you're just a one-man band that's passionate about something, but then you can't share that passion. It's like I'm quite passionate about learning, for example. I figured that out. Like, I like learning. I like learning new things. I like trying to advance myself or actually just learning things for the sake of learning things that are interesting. But that's a time thing. But also, if I had the time, my brain would be like, where do I start? So I think like it's more layered. I understand sacrificing your passions. We all do that. Like, whether it's a greater good or just, I have to do this. But I do think there's an element of like, almost like it's suppressed because you don't have like-minded people that have the same passions. I think sometimes passion has to work with others. Otherwise, it's just, you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I just,
like, what's something you're really passionate about, but you feel like you can't talk about it because there ain't someone that gets it like that. Like again, the sports analogy works really well. Like, I could talk about sports a lot. I'm not an expert, don't get me wrong, right? But like, I have a couple of guys at work that we can just chat for a good 10 minutes about all sorts of things sporting. So I don't have that same passion with you because that's not your thing, and that's fine. But I think if you think about it like that, you'll get where I'm coming from. Because there'll be something in your head that you're like, I really want to talk about this. I really bloody like this, but like, people just don't understand it. Or people think that I'm a whack job or something like that. I know you don't care about that, but it still suppresses it. Because you're not as free to go and talk about it because you don't have the connections to talk about that.
Yeah, so if I was to say off the top of my head, it would probably be alchemy. Because that's...
You said it straight away, I'm thinking old school RuneScape or something, man. You know what I mean? I'm thinking RPG games.
Yeah, but... So the thing for me is I'm ridiculously curious. But at the same time, I'm aware of how much there is contaminants. So alchemy is basically like the root of all of the sciences, mysticism, like all of the core of these ideas come out from alchemy way back when. So delving into that side of stuff is incredibly fascinating for me, but there's very few people that kind of get on that level. Even the same with like playing chess. It's a very rare thing to meet somebody that will sit there for hours and play chess, or even know how to play chess. But that's a part of myself that I've shelved because I don't have somebody to have that back and forth with. Do you know what I mean? And you've got the element where you can try to teach somebody, like you can try to teach somebody how to enjoy sports or what you enjoy about sports or how to play chess or the fundamentals of alchemy or whatever else. But unless they have that kind of burning passion for themselves, so like, like take back to like stargazing. If you was to have a conversation with somebody about stargazing, but they're not even willing to comprehend, or they're not fascinated by the stars or the vastness of the universe or whatever else, that's going to sap your passion for it. So for most people, they probably just don't have that conversation to begin with. So that's probably where that feeling of suppression comes from, if anything, because the first idea, or the first thing that comes to mind when you said like suppressing that side of it, that's kind of why I jokingly said tap dancing, was that you're embarrassed about that thing where it's...
I'm going to come on to that as well.
And that, for that, like, there probably would be... This would, I'd more than likely tie into the nostalgia episode or whatever else, where it's just like, for me, that would probably be like Pokemon and that kind of stuff, where it's just like, I don't share that passion with everybody because in some regards I could probably deem it a bit childish and a little bit but at the same time I'm kind of adapting my mind enough to know sometimes I need that switch off. Whether that makes sense to somebody else or not, fair play.
Well, that's why I started busting out RuneScape again this week. I was just like, I need to decompress and just do something stupid or something that I love.
Again, and it might not make sense to the missus while you're just messing around on some random online game, but it still kind of makes sense to you, regardless. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
so I think sometimes that's why people would probably suppress their passions, is because like fear of people judging them and things like that. But
I guess so, yeah. But like, the other thing I think as well is like the fear of finding out that someone maybe, how do I phrase it? Like the fear of not understanding someone's viewpoint. So things like current affairs, politics, that kind of stuff, which are very passionate topics. Like I know a couple of people who are very passionate about talking about it. But like for me, I would be. But I always feel like I'd need someone who's very similarly aligned to me for me to actually be able to fully have that conversation. And like, it's a bit different with me because I'm more of a centrist than like a left or a right. So it's not like I'm looking for like my army of people who are like, hey, we're on the same side. I'm more looking for people who understand both directions. It's like one of the people I train is very much attuned like me, and like we'll kind of flip flop between parties at elections and stuff like that, right? So it's more in tune because we understand different viewpoints, but we also have our own viewpoints, and that's what makes that really good. So you can actually have a proper like full on conversation about all the things that trigger people essentially, and that people have like really extreme views on, or think that because you have some kind of view, like you're automatically something like a racist or a xenophobe or whatever. So that's why I don't do that often. I suppress that because I'm just like, well, A, I don't want people labeling me when I know that's incorrect. B, I don't want to find out if someone actually is that. Because now I have to see you in a different light. You should be a cowardice, but at the same time, like, I just don't want to have to deal with that. You know what I mean?
Definitely falls into like fear of judgment, either fear of them judging you or you judging them.
But it's just a unique perspective for me, though. Like I said, like I fully understand, like having things you're passionate about that you don't want to talk about because you can't be bothered for people to judge you. But flipping that to like I can't be bothered to judge people, it's a weird dynamic for me.
But then, like, you got to think, right? For every passion, there is a community. If you just look for it, right? So, like, bro, take something as ridiculous as furries, right? Imagine the first person that was like, I like dressing up as an animal. I wonder if there's anybody else that likes doing this. And these people are so passionate about it, they spend thousands on some of these costumes and all of that. Like, for 99.9% of the world, they don't understand it. That is weird. That is this, that, or whatever else. But because they have that fractional 1% of a community that accepts them, that can see the commonality behind it, they don't feel alone. So that kind of alienation, that kind of judgment or whatever else, that's easily dismissed. So like, if you see everyone, you walk past somewhere and you see everyone banging out RuneScape, straight away it's going to pique your interest and you're going to be far more open about talking about your own experiences with it than you would if you walked past a sports bar and going like, hey guys, I like RuneScape. Do you know what I mean? Like the environment would kind of dictate a lot of what is socially acceptable in that sense.
That's a good point. It's just something that piqued my curiosity. As I said, like I went down the rabbit hole this week thinking about this.
Good question, though, isn't it?
I'm probably thinking like, what am I actually passionate about? But as I said, like it just burned my head into thinking, wait, I suppress a lot of this stuff. Why am I suppressing it? And I kind of realised I think that's how a lot of people are.
I think as well, like part of the suppression would be just trying to cope. Like I say, like there is so much of my life, if I look over it, is spent wanting the things that I don't have.
Believe.
Like, so if you was to actually take that into consideration, now adding all of the things that you're passionate about, how does it feel that not only do you want all of this stuff here, all of the things that you are passionate about and that you do want to spend your life doing, you now have kind of neglected. Like,
I think it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about progressing myself and like getting myself into a better place. Is that like in a weird way, for me, if I get to a point of financial freedoms and stuff like that, it's almost like my brain is trying to say, well, that's when you can unlock your passions, because then you'll have the time to go do it. Like, if I could, I'd be very passionate about traveling. Like, I want to go see the world. I would love to go see the world. And it's not just like all the big kind of things that, like the touristy things or like the big things in every country or every city, but like it's the off the beaten path things. I just want to go walk around. I hate walking. I have two reasons why I would walk. When I like walking. I have a purpose, or I just set out to go and enjoy something. The idea of just dropping into cities and just going, cool, I'm going to go walk around. That excites me. Like that I would be so passionate about, because I'm going to go find so many different things and see so many hidden things. And I'm going to try and just explore as much as I can.
See, to have the opportunity to like just have a backpack, a pair of shoes, and a plane ticket somewhere, like years ago, that was my plan, was to get to the point where I was working online as a remote personal trainer and traveling around the world and just coaching people online, doing whatever I wanted. Obviously, life's very different now, and I've got to be a lot more kind of sedentary for the minute. But it's still there. I'm still curious. Like I say, like even talking to the dentist, like, why did you get into this? Like, I'll always have those curiosities about people. Like, what makes people the way they are? Like, everybody has a different journey. Everybody starts at a different point. Like, but we all cross paths at varying instances. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he asked me a question about like, he asked me if I ever been in a forest on my own at night, and I have. And I was telling him the story about it, and it happened to be a place that he's been as well, but not on his own at night. And he was just like, it's mad how like our paths have crossed. We're years apart in age and everything else, years apart in interests and blah 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 blah, but yet we walked on the same ground. And there's so many paths that cross like that in life that it is fascinating to be able to amplify that by then traveling to see different cultures, different ways of life, different cuisines. Like, there's so much to experience in life, in the world, and everything else. And like, you've got to think, right? If we're playing a game of catch up, it definitely feels like you're falling behind if you don't get to travel and see the world. Like, if we genuinely are at the point where we're about to go to different planets, and I ain't even been to every country of this planet. Yet people are ready to skip on to another planet. Like, I'm not finished with this level yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, can I get a few more experience points before we all jump ship?
Definitely.
Like, some of us playing catch up.
Believe.
So there's so... I think there's so many aspects to it where people do just kind of shelf their dreams. And they kind of suppress it, or they make excuses for it, or whatever else in the meantime to just kind of get by and make it bearable, if anything. Like I say, like, I know that's what I do for the majority of the things, is just like, I know I can't kind of be racing around a track and this, that, and everything else. So I might live that vicariously in another way through a game or something else, or somebody might watch a travel program or something, or like they might have a taste of it living vicariously through somebody else. But most people probably don't ever achieve, or kind of, what would be the word? Kind of realize their passions. It's probably a sad reality, and it's probably a massive kind of realization into how good we have it, to think that we can actually sit down and ask ourselves these kind of questions. Like, I go through a lot of kind of history at the minute and a lot of psychology and all of that stuff, but like, think back to like the times of like the Greek philosophers and everything else, where these people spent days and days and days just thinking and pondering the mysteries of the universe, coming up with mathematics and this, that, and everything else. Like, there's all of these massive like realizations what happened when kind of not much else was happening. Whereas for most people, they live busy lives, but then busy doing what?
Exactly.
Like, it sounds bad, but how many people have a kind of redundant job for the most part?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to end up going into a massive spiral, but like, the way in which we live life has changed so much over the last 100, 200 years or whatever else, that I think humans mentally and physically are still catching up. And it's... I don't know if we are going to catch up. Like, maybe that's kind of AI comes in and replaces the workforce and lets us get back to that kind of philosophical nature where we can think about our passions and what we want to do and the kind of deeper things in life. But I don't know. Like, part of me thinks that we're institutionalized now. Like, every couple of generations, you got to think there are generations that would have only known war. There are generations that would have only known famine. There are generations that would have only known peace. And each one of those generations climatized to it. But then it ends. Like, even when we was going through the time of the vid, I was literally saying to people, like, we're living in a moment of history. Like, this is a notable time that people are going to talk about in history. And, I mean, that's definitely going to go down in the history books.
Oh, yes.
For the whole world.
Yeah.
So as long as our civilization's around, that's a part where it's kind of funny when you hear people say, like, oh, you'll always remember where you was when this happened or that happened. Like, everyone will remember how they got through that time. Everyone will remember the impact of that time and everything else.
RuneScape and Park Bears, baby. What a treat.
But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think everybody's just kind of institutionalized into the workforce for this generation. Maybe subsequent generations would come out of it, but I don't know. Like, now people don't know what to do if there's given time to think. Like, they're so used to being distracted. How many people are genuinely going to freeze when they hear that question? What are you passionate about?
So also, I wonder how many people actually, like, before they go to bed, actually sit with their thoughts for just even a minute. Not many. Most will probably pass out with the TV going in the background or something like that now. You know what I mean? It's quite a wild thing to comprehend. I'm guilty of that at times myself.
Bro, that's a massive rarity for me. I mean, like, my sleep pattern, like, I put like sleep frequencies on to go to sleep and all of that stuff. Like, I have an actual process where I like put myself to sleep, but I still kind of sit with my thoughts for the day and everything else.
I think someone like you has quite an overactive mind, so sitting there with your thoughts, trying to unpack things before you sleep is probably counterintuitive.
Yeah, but it's also unavoidable.
Of course it's unavoidable, but you're probably the kind of person that would benefit from just sitting in a dark room when you're actually alert to unpack your thoughts, because that's probably when you're going to operate better. When you have time to go, cool, I can actually properly sit here for as long as I want and just unpack things and kind of process what's going on, how it's going on, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I do that, but again,
like even a simple art of just kind of laying there for a second and thinking, how was my day today? What did I do today? Well, we don't. We just literally run through days and then sit there going, well, that's going fast, isn't it? It's like, yeah, faster than you can comprehend because you take no account of what's actually happening. Like, I guarantee you no one asks themselves basic questions. Like, what did I do for me today? What did I like today? What didn't I like today? Like, there's such basic questions that you can pinpoint. We don't do.
But that's kind of what started, especially in me, and more so from doing the pod. And the longer the pod goes on, the more I do it. Is that kind of moment of introspection and just kind of reflection, where you just take a beat and kind of think about how you are and da da da. Like, and that's why it is important, especially for me nowadays, to do this kind of like. I've never really understood the idea of a diary or anything else, but actually sitting down on the pod and unpacking my thoughts and kind of trying to unpack like what I think is valuable to put out into the world. And then I have to question what's valuable within my life. Then I have to question, well, what's valuable? And then what's valuable to me, and it slowly dominoes and dominoes and dominoes. So then you, again, like you can't ask yourself what you're passionate about without glancing across who's important to you in life, what things are important to you in life, what places are important to you. All of these things kind of snowball out from that original thought. Where it's like, and again, sometimes it can get overwhelming, and so maybe that's what kind of deters some people. But the importance of just kind of making it a common practice, and whether it be having a diary or having somebody to talk to or sitting with your own thoughts, like sometimes that's what's needed. But just doing that more often helps you to kind of navigate where life is going.
True.
Because if you don't, like, bro, I've done it literally on this pod where I was like, I don't understand how people devote 10 years of their life to something. Like, if you was to set out to be a doctor or a dentist or a vet or whatever else, you've got years of study ahead of you. You've got internships and this, that, and everything else. That's a decade of a like mission. Do you know what I mean? Like, and inevitably, you don't know if you're going to be happy in the end of it. Like, you could get all of that way, love the job, have a terrible boss, and whatever else, not like the industry. Like that's what happened to me when I became a mechanic. I liked the job, I liked but the industry and how the industry is, I didn't like it. It was just too dishonest, and it was as if people was trying to scam people. And yeah, there could have been just that garage, but the likelihood is that happens a lot more often. Do you know what I mean? Like, so all of these things, unless you kind of take that time to sit with them and think about like, where's this going to lead? Am I still going to want to be there? Am I still going to be passionate about this in 10 years? That's a hefty question. Like, genuinely, there's... I don't know if it would necessarily has to be like 10 years or whatever else. Like, obviously you can get passionate about things in the short term and you can learn a lot from them or whatever else and kind of roll different skills into your life and that. But I don't know. Some things do stick with you. Like, I want to get back into playing the guitar, but just never have time for it.
I would love to learn bass guitar.
Like, it's something that I've done when I was a kid, and I could play okay, and then I forgot about and that. But now I've got my dad's guitar, which I'd love to be able to play to little one. So then that kind of gives me that incentive, and it ties deeper meaning to it, which kind of it puts it high on that priority list and that. But again, there's so many things where it's just like, okay, cool, but you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, to then take on learning a new skill on top of all of that. As much as if I started that now, in 6 months, I'd probably be grateful for it and be able to just relax playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Getting over that initial hill and finding that initial kind of allotment of time, it's overwhelming a lot of the time.
I know what you mean.
Did you settle on anything that you was passionate about?
As I said, I think kind of the basic things that I listed out earlier on, like very passionate about sports. Would have loved to have played when I was younger. Still probably a chance that I could get into things as I get older. I mean, I do kind of play golf, I guess. But I think I'm just passionate about understanding things and just trying to learn things. Like, the more I deeped it and thought about it, the more I was just like, man, there's so much I don't know. And it's almost like I'm passionate about just being able to live. Like, that's kind of the goal for me, is like, I just want to be able to do things. Like, I want to be able to learn, like, and when I think about it now, like, what am I passionate about? Well, I'm passionate about sports. I'm actually quite passionate about gaming, but I do suppress that, otherwise I would lose my life. I would be on that all the time, like, I would not do anything else. Like, and I still think I'm fairly passionate about fitness to a degree. Like, I do feel like, when I have some time off, I do feel like kind of hungry come back where I'm like, well, I want to learn some new stuff. and I want to see how I can help people and help myself and kind of change things about my training. We were literally talking about it before we started doing the pod, right? Like, what can I think of with my own training? Like, how do I get back to enjoying my training properly? Because when I'm in the mood, but when I'm into it, I am actually really passionate about it. Like, I love training. I love training with people. I love trying to show people stuff that maybe they don't know and pick things up from them. Like, I really enjoy that. But again, it's weird. Even though I work in the fitness industry, there's still times where I don't have time to train, or I'm too tired to train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing.
When
You would think someone who works in the gym all the time would be like, yeah, bang on. It's like, no, actually, that's my office and I can't be bothered. I want to go home.
When I was a trainer, that's when I've done my least amount of training.
Yeah, man. I've got like periods of months without training before, man. And you physically don't really notice much difference because you're just burning.
At least for me, like, that's what kind of zapped the passion out of it. With making my passion my career. And I think that's the thing is, like, with passions, you kind of have to allow them to be your passions. Like, if you had a passion project and everything else, and you're doing something just for fun, and then somebody was like, "Oh, I'll pay you for it," or whatever else, but now you've got to do it on a clock and like, bro, every day you've got to wake up, no matter how you feel.
Like
9 to 5, you've got to be
like
on the range. Rain or shine, you've got to be there. You've got to do 1,000 swings of a club a day. You've got this, that. It would take all the fun out of it.
God, it'd be awful.
So I think, like, sometimes that happens as well, where, like, people do realise their passions and everything else, and sometimes take it too far. Definitely. Like, with a lot of things in life, it's almost that one extreme or the other. It's feast or famine.
I think the other thing that I would be passionate about if I had the time or, like, the kind of dedication is language. I'd love to be able to speak different languages. I just find it interesting. Not even just for the ability to be able to travel and, like, travel a bit easier, knowing that you could speak, but just the sheer interest of how do you do your language? Why is your language like this? Like, how is your alphabet formed? How do you use grammar? Do you have different words than maybe we do? Like, I just think that would be super interesting. Considering that English itself is borrowed languages. I just think it'd be really interesting to see how different dialects deviate and stuff like that. Like, more than just the base of learning a language, like, what's the dialects like in that country? Because we just assume that in the UK we're the only ones with different dialects. We're not. Every country will have dialects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that fascinates me. It's just like, I wonder, like, does Madrid in Spain have, like, the East End equivalent of what we have in London? Where they're like, they're a bit annoying and they speak like this, man, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that fascinates me.
Well, there definitely is. I mean, they said, even animals have accents. So, like, bro, there's so much variety in this world, man. And that's the thing, like, bro, here's a question for you. How many people do you reckon live the same 24 hours over and over again?
Oh, quite a few, mate. Quite a lot of people.
And that's quite messed up when you think about it. Like, you know the same outcome. You know exactly what you... Again, it might be like you go there because you know if you go there you're going to get paid and whatever it is. But, like, bro, I even thought about it. Like, even when I was in the gym, like, I go to the same gym because it's convenient. Like, there's other branches, there's this, there's that, whatever else. But again, like, you just fall into this kind of complacency groove where it's just like, okay, cool, this is where I go or what I do and whatever else. And then unless you are kind of in tune with yourself and you check in and that, it's so easy to miss and just kind of get caught up in that tide of it.
Oh, yes. I think we can wrap this bad boy up.
Wrap it up, bad boy.
Wrap it up, baby.
See, for this episode, you stole it, so...
See, for this episode is if you are struggling to comprehend what your passions are, work on being passionate about yourself, and you might actually start to unlock what you're passionate about along the way.
No. All the best, and we'll catch you on the next one.